Life is full of surprises and synchronicities. I have a story of synchronicity I want to share with you today. And it's a story of hardship to elation. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is because it's going to be part of the 88 ways in which you can sense and see synchronicity in your life. The idea of synchronicity has played a huge role in my development. It was about a month or two ago now. Hey Bun Bun, you can come over if you like. That I was experiencing some really intense emotions. So intense that I came outside to this very spot and I laid on the ground and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I bashed the ground and I purged these awful sounds out of my body. And it was only when I asked, how can I understand this? What do I do to understand this? That I felt a release happen. And in that release, as I'm bawling, completely hopeless, feeling utter hopelessness, that I had a vision of a memory that I had when I was younger. The vision was that I had woken up in the middle of the night when I was around 7 or 6 years old maybe. And I woke up terrified because I had a dream where these evil characters, they looked a little bit like witches, but more in the dark form as opposed to the witches that we all know to be in our hearts of connected with nature. There's different types of witches, and these witches were not connected to nature, they were connected to something else. And in the dream I had to keep very quiet because I was afraid they were going to kill me. But instead, what they did was something worse. I mean, nothing can be technically worse than death, but to live through a curse, which is what they put on me, has definitely been a challenge. So the curse was that when I woke up, I saw them in the room, and they had a cauldron, and they put a curse on me specifically because of my past lineage for some reason. They were trying to stop the divine feminine in my lineage, and they were doing this by taking away my lion power, so to speak, my full cat power, which was where my sense of confidence, sense of security came from, and they took it away from me that night. And it's because I was having trouble at school with bullies and I was an easy target, is what I think. So anyway, I never thought anything more of it since that night. until it came up as I purged with Mother Earth. And I realised that I'm in just recognising this one night that this thing happened, whether it was to do with a curse or not, doesn't matter. All that matters is that I had some intense emotions around that night, and I cleared them in that moment. And the fun part is what happened next. What happened next is I said to my love, "Do you want to go on a walk?" And he said, "Yeah, sure I do." And what happened is we went walking on the train tracks, and we've never walked on these train tracks before because usually the train is running. On this particular day, it was Canada Day, so no trains running. And as we're walking these tracks, I'm feeling this liberation coming about in me. It's like a new beginning. We're going places was the message that came through. Until we found this forest, and through this forest we found a reservoir, and we went and we sat at this reservoir, and I explained all of what I just explained to you now to my other half. There were so many things that were linked with it, but you don't need to know those things. All you need to know is that I had a strong memory come up, and sometimes it doesn't always look that rosy and colourful to deal with this shadow kind of work we have to do. I was starting to see the synchronicities in all of it. I was starting to feel the synchronicities in all of it. I felt like I was able to call back my power, call back my spirit animal, which was there with me all along, but I'd somehow disassociated with her through their curse on me, I want to call it. But this curse had been lifted just now, and I felt that. And on the way back home, we walked through this forest, and the whole time I felt like I was being guided to somewhere, and I didn't know where I was going. But we kept on walking through this forest, millions of mozzies everywhere, and we just kept on going because I said to myself, I trust in my path. I trust in my path. And every moment I would step, I would hear or feel something in the forest. It was a magical forest, and I'll take you there sometime. But it was magical, and as we got to the end of the line in the forest, none other than a cat picture was hanging on a tree. Before I saw it, I pointed at it and said, "Oh, look, there's a map. Maybe it can help us find our way." That's the part that I thought to myself, "Oh, a map, good, because we've been walking for a while and we don't know where we are." And of course it was a map of my own consciousness. It was a map of my journey, and it was a rite of passage I experienced on that day, and it is the single most beautiful synchronistic story that I have to date, because I feel like all of my past stories and experiences and synchronicities have led up to that day, and there will continue to be many more days like that. But this day was so special, and it was so synchronistic. All of these things that were happening on that specific day after this terrible feeling came over me, and this purge happened, and this release happened, and it was embarrassing. I was on the ground as you see me now, but I was leant over, coughing, spewing up this bile. It was awful. It was like I was in an ayahuasca ceremony, but when I tried ayahuasca, I didn't even purge in that way. It was like a new ayahuasca ceremony without the ayahuasca. The neighbours were out, and I just didn't give a crap, because I had so much healing to do, and I wanted it to be then and there, and no other time did I want this to happen, and it was perfect. And so when I saw that picture, I was so humbled by the universe in giving me this perfect synchronicity and reminding me of my courageous, confident cat self, that I could hardly even talk about it. All I could do was smile, because it was so perfect and so wonderful. And as we go past this cat picture, we're greeted by all of these houses, and these are expensive houses. They're beautiful looking houses, and there was people playing in their back gardens, and it was like, this is your future. This is where you guys are headed. This is what your future looks like. And it was just constant messages of reassurance. And the reason that I tell you these stories today is because I want to tap into that feeling every single day of synchronicity following us and guiding the way. I want to see the synchronicities in every single thing, every single day, because they light up my world, and they are the reason for this channel. They are the reason for my success in life, actually. If you can see Bum Bum in the background. If you have any synchronicity stories that you'd like to share with me, please do. I'd love to read them in the comments below. I think we should just have a synchronicity book where we write in all of our synchronicities, talk to each other about them, and talk about how amazing they are, so that we can attract more of them into our life. It's cool because this cat self that I've been experiencing coming back to me as my spirit animal, as my core essence. I can't really describe that. Maybe it's associated with Lyrians, maybe it's associated just with my imagination. Who knows? I don't mind. All that I do mind about is that I feel good and I feel liberated, and that's what this rite of passage gave to me. And this time next week, it'll have been my 25th birthday. My birthday falls on the 8th of the 8th, Lionsgate. And I'm so excited to celebrate on this day. Celebrate in full essence with my being and with synchronicity in hand. Thank you for listening, and I pray that you come across these synchronicities in your life, small or big, doesn't matter. What matters is that you notice them. So may there be many synchronicities in your life. Peace, love, and light to you. Peace, love, and light to you.